Fear Inoculum 2023, which concluded almost to the day a year ago. And it concluded on the day 5, which was Sunday, in a way that none of us present have anticipated. We could have not scripted it. And Brother Bart refers to it in his personal life as the day of Epiphany. So those of you watching and listening, if you will indulge me for a few minutes, I will quickly recount what has occurred, because that will dovetail into the heavy part of this live session today on this beautiful Sunday. Fear Inoculum is my granddaddy, so to speak, of my publicly offered classes. It's a 5-day class that is intense, I guess, in a way that a lot of people will think that I'm going to be shooting live firearms at people, throwing spears and burning arrows at people and pushing them out of the truck while driving at 60 miles an hour and dropping kettlebells from the top of the trees on their heads to see if they can survive that. All these kind of horror things that this terrible person, yours truly, would be expected to do to people, because he's just such a beast, right? Such a savage. It truly is not that. Yeah, there are physically challenging things. Yeah, there are things that push your limits to one degree or another, and it's individual. Each person reacts to it in their own way. But to make long story short, as I said, it's a 5-day class. Weather was very interesting. Day that was supposed to be sunny, it was raining. Day that was supposed to be raining, it wasn't raining. So I had to kind of move things around. And a relatively short time prior to the class, I guess I can say out of the blue, this thought came to me, or I arrived at this thought, that the last day is Sunday, and I'm an Orthodox Christian. On Sundays, unless I'm involved with teaching or traveling, I really try, even if I don't feel that good or whatever the case might be, I try to make my way to the church. So without telling the dudes that signed up for the class, I decided that Sunday, I'm just going to drag them all to church. And the way it played out was, we have a Western Rite Orthodox church here in Jacksonville, but because it was Sunday and some people had to kind of rush to the airport and fly out, Tyler was a better option. So I decided that, we're going to meet in the morning, and I'm going to not tell them where we're going. I'm just going to tell the convoy of cars to follow me. And so they did. We arrived at St. John of Damascus Church, which is Eastern Rite Orthodox Church in Tyler, Texas. Of course, my dudes are dressed up, with their cargo pants, some camouflage, and, ready to rumble, play in the dirt. And so I told the dudes, take it for what it is. I'm going to go do my Orthodox duty. You guys are more than welcome to come to church. I'm sure Father David will not be against it. And you can watch, and take from it what you can, and hopefully there's going to be something to take. So I dragged these savages inside the church, and we have a holy liturgy. And last year in 2023, that Sunday happened to be the Sunday after Pascha, after Orthodox Easter, which in Orthodoxy is referred to as the Sunday of Doubting Thomas. Those of you who are familiar with scriptures, Doubting Thomas was told the story of Jesus' resurrection after he died on the cross. And basically he said, I won't believe that unless I can touch his wounds. I'm simplifying the message just because trying to save time here before we get to the meat of the matter. And so Jesus appeared in front of Thomas and allowed him to put his fingers in his wounds and to touch him. And again, I'm going to be paraphrasing, as the history has recorded, is that Jesus said to Thomas that you believe now because you have seen. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. So it was a great sermon that Father David, and I emphasize the name David, did. He actually introduced my Savage crew to the congregation. They were like, these are Sonny's guys, and everybody looked back and they go like, yeah, they look like Sonny's guys. They asked us if we want to have a cup of coffee after the liturgy, and of course we agreed. So we go into secondary building. It started raining, so we had some work left to do as far as training, which involved some blade work, possibly live blade, and it was raining significantly, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to go somewhere on the grass where people will start slipping and sliding and falling and tripping playing with the live blades. So I asked Father David, I said, where would be like the closest park, maybe they would have some kind of a pavilion or something like that where we can do our thing, so to speak, partially protected from the elements. And Father David instantly suggested this one park. And he goes, go there. He didn't mention numerous options. He just mentioned this one place. Go there. So who am I to argue? I don't live in Tyler, although I know Tyler quite well. Googled it, got the address. It's only 12 or 14 minutes away from St. John of Damascus Church. And off we went. I believe I arrived there in my truck last, and I see the guys already carried their bags with their training gear and other stuff into this big pavilion. And I see Brother Bill, who's present here, Bill Wade, talking to some gentleman there. It's kind of like quite a bit of a distance from where I parked, so I can't see the features of the other dude or whatnot. Finally, I walk up there, and there's this overwhelming smell of alcohol, and I look at the guy, and he's visibly intoxicated. I will go further to say very distraught. Like the person that normally, as human beings, would look at it and go like, damn it, I don't want this dude around us. And, for me especially, I go like, man, I have to focus. This is day 5. I'm already tired after 4 days of teaching, and these dudes are very tired after 4 days of learning. So anyway, I was not too happy that gentleman was there, and he had a bottle with him, and as I said, it was overwhelming smell of alcohol, and the way he looked, not very clean. Not the person that most of us normal humans would go like, hey, brother, I'm glad you're here. No, honestly, in my own head, I go like, shit. How do we get rid of this dude? Little did I know that the way this event turned out and what happened in the next 3 hours while we were there. My initial thought of pride and vanity was that our presence there is what changed the outcome. We saved that guy. But now, a year later, I'm not even questioning it. I'm actually quite sure that it was the opposite. That that guy, his presence there, was our Doubting Thomas day. Coincidentally, it was on Doubting Thomas Sunday. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details, but as we were training, and taking few breaks in between 5 minutes to drink water, to take a piss or whatnot, I started talking to this gentleman, and he introduced himself. His name was David. Again, funny that Father David sends us to a specific place, and we meet there David. Now, this David was a veteran, Marine Corps veteran, with few deployments in Iraq, struggling, according to his own account, with severe PTSD. And then as the time went by, as we were talking, he just that morning found out that his dad had a late stage cancer, and he literally had weeks left to live. So the guy was really down, and I go like, damn, that's tough, and you try to be a little bit supportive, but at the same time in your head is still like, why did he have to come to the same place where we at, right? Because, I have to do these things, and this guy is bringing his drama, his little things and important stuff, like his dad is dying from cancer. He's dealing with stuff in his head from his past, from his experiences. As we kept training, we were hitting things, and I still had a couple of guys that haven't passed one specific test that we do during the fear inoculum class. So went into explanations. Some of those explanations had somewhat of a, say, spiritual / faith flavor to it, about having faith, and it not just in the sense of having faith into for divine God, right? Also having faith to what you're doing, having faith in your abilities, so it was a mix of things, right? So the dudes did what they needed to do. Those of you who have seen the videos, that involves putting your fingertips through a piece of wood, and it may not sound like much until you try it, but those of you who are interested, you'll find the way to find out. For all others, it will remain just a story, and it's okay. Things are exactly as they should be. We continue, we do some knife work. David asks if he can experience some stuff, so I think Josh Masters worked with him a little bit. Few punches, we continue talking, we go in depth on number of issues, on psychology, on emotional state of how things work, why they don't work sometimes. And David is kind of like, he's interested, he's listening, right? And at some point he asks us, he goes like, are you guys like a church group or something? I go, no, not really. I mean, we just came from church, but we're not a church group. Fast forward a little bit more. There were other things exchanged. There were other things happening. David stands up, and I see tears rolling down his face. And he says, whatever the fuck you do, don't lose this. Don't lose what you have here. And we all kind of looked at each other. We go like, man, this dude is... No, I'm not saying that he's really out there, but we go like, phew, he's in a rough place. You know what I mean? He does not sound very, how would I say, rational, right? Would be the word. Fast forward another short chunk of time, and David stands up. He picks up his backpack. He looks at us, and then he drops this on us. He goes, I don't think you dudes fucking understand. He goes, I didn't come here to sit and drink beer. I came here to end my life. I came here to kill myself. I don't know about you folks, but statements like that, and trust me or don't, doesn't really matter to me. The weight of that is very palpable when it comes from a person who's undoubtedly, unquestionably, because you see him in front, you can smell his emotions, you can smell his desperation, his anxiety, his I don't give a shit anymore. It's very real. And most of us kind of froze for a moment there, right? And whatever moved me, I walked up to David, and we kind of got to a corner of this pavilion. And he said this. He said, yeah, I drank some beer. Before then, I had a bottle of antifreeze. Before then, I had that many pills of that many pills of that. And I'm listening to that. And as a former paramedic, I'm like, dude, this is this is enough to kill. And then he says this, and if none of that worked, I have something else in my backpack to finish the job. And, I look back at my dudes, at my students, and there's this unmistakable expression. It's not just expression on their face and their body language. It's deeper. It's more than that. It's palpable. You can fucking touch it. That we are in the presence of something very, very profound. And then David shows me his cell phone and he goes like, yeah, this is the message from my mother. She called cops. They're looking for me. She told them that I'm gonna harm myself and all that, because he told her that apparently before he arrived, he sent a message to her that he is not coming back alive. I'm not going to recount what I said to David. It's between me and him. But what followed was this. And no, I won't apologize if I get a little emotional, because a year later it still hits me like a fucking hammer, guys. It really does. And David said, what I've seen, what I've heard here from you guys. Because I tell you what, he goes, I'm going to go home. I'm going to shower. I'm going to go to sleep. And then he looked me in the eyes and he goes like, and I'll see you at the church, brother. And David went home. David did not commit suicide. I came back. I filled in the guys on some details that they haven't heard. They heard most of what was going on in that conversation. And it was another powerful moment, because hard fucking dudes that have seen life and death were in that class. I don't think there was a single dry eye. And Bart standing there, and those of you who don't know Bart's history, look it up. Really, look it up. You don't know that many people who have died 7 times with a needle in their fucking vein and came back. Look up at his Substack, look up at his social media, read some stuff, because guy has a gift. Truly a gift. And just months prior, I remember reading some stuff from Bart on social media. And me and Bart have been friends for many years. Although our views on things differed quite significantly. And so just a couple months prior, Bart posted some things that were, I wouldn't say disrespectful, but were pretty harsh as far as Christianity and things like that. Bart was definitely at that point not a man of faith, so to speak. It hit him. It hit him hard. It hit me hard. And what followed was interesting, because after everyone else left, Bart was standing there smoking. He couldn't say a damn word. Crying. I'm not necessarily going to admit, but I was kind of in a similar state myself. And I know it's going to sound to some of you maybe ridiculous. Those of you who know me personally, those of you who met Bart, who trained with Bart, who spent time with Bart, we're not easily impressionable fucking boys. We've been around. Been around a few rodeos of life. Good and bad. Some really, really bad, really dark rodeos. And Bart's standing there, he goes like, brother, he allowed me to put my finger into his wounds. And Bart now is a man of faith. And Bart is not the only one. There were others there. I'm not going to talk about everyone else's story, about where they at after that event, what has changed for them, what kind of transformations maybe started occurring. But I just wanted to quickly retell the story because it is almost to the day, a year since that happened during last day of Fear Inoculum of 2023. I wanted to retell this story because it was very, very powerful. It was very, very meaningful. And it kind of leads me to a next thing I want to talk about.